If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Our question of the morning, what is your evaluation of the Mammoth season? What'd you think? A lot of people here saying they need to be bigger and more physical. That is, I think, the lesson from that playoff series. Brandon said, great stepping stone, exciting. Lots of players now to trade and start tanking. Oh, see what Brandon did there? He took a shot across the bow of the Utah Jazz.
Well, the good thing about it, we haven't heard anybody say, I want out. I'm not re-signing here.
No, we've heard the exact opposite. Everybody wants back. And you want to keep the band together, small tweaks, major tweaks, and they've got cap room. So and there's even more cap room next year. So there really are options out here for Bill Armstrong. There are options also for Mike Folta, but he chooses to speak with us before he disappears to play golf somewhere in central Indiana. Mike, good morning.
Central Indiana? Boy, I got a 12:50 tee time over at Rose Park this afternoon. Come on, give me the golf part's absolutely right, though.
You and everybody else in the NHL. It's just from a slap shot to a tee shot. It's a small tweak. You're ready to go.
That's right. And for me, they're both not very impressive, but I got some time to work on it now. So starting to get into that off-season mode. We had exit meetings yesterday. We're going to hear from Bill Armstrong and management, we think, coming up in the next day or so. Not sure exactly when, but yeah, it's that kind of weird feeling where school's over, everybody breaks for the summer, and you're excited for the summer, but you wish you were still playing right now. And I think the Mammoths, everybody on that team thought they were going to be playing in a Game 7 on Sunday in Vegas, and here we are. So it was a good season for the Mammoths. It was unequivocally a successful season, but once you're in the fire, all you think about is winning that next game. And I think you can say it's a successful season, but that doesn't mean we all feel like it right now. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, Mike, I think that happens in every sport. When the end comes, it comes so suddenly. You're on a rush, you're on a high. And even me as a old sports writer and now into radio, experienced it. You're all excited. And then when it ends, it's like a big crash. It's like, oh, what do you do now? I got something a bone I want to pick with you, because I thought, Mike, you were exclusive to us, but then the other day I hear you on the afternoon show. So instead of Mike Folta not being exclusive, from now on, you're going to be known to me as Mike Vrabel.
Hey, let's leave Diana Rossini out of this, okay? for my sake and for Mike Vrabel's sake. You know what? I did go. I was talking with Jake and Ben. I had talked with JJ and Alex throughout the year a little bit. But, guys, I want you to know they were just getting your leftovers. They kind of like Diana Rossini. They were just getting your leftovers. They were I was recycling my material. You guys are my day one ride or die. And but it's oh, sorry, was that across the line?
A little bit, yeah, I think so. I think officially we can get a ruling from the judges, but I'm pretty sure that was across the line.
Okay.
No,
right.
In order to cross the line, you got to get to the line, Mike. Keep pushing it.
Well, if you want to hear more Diana Rossini jokes, just tune into Jake and Ben this afternoon. So it'll be the same one.
All right, so there are some free agents here, and it sounds like most of them want to come back. I think Yamamoto was the most blunt maybe, but I think they were all pretty clear. So what do you think is going to happen first as far as retaining guys? There's $14 million worth of cap room. Who do they want to spend it on? Where do you think they're headed with this? Can you bring the group back, or do they have to make some changes?
Yeah, there's going to be some really hard decisions made this year by players and by management. And you look back at guys like Kyler Yamamoto, who's an unrestricted free agent. You could go down the roster and point to all these guys who are UFAs, and you could make a case for them to come back next year pretty easily. Like Kyler Yamamoto was a player who 2 years ago in Utah's first season, he had to basically play his way into a contract in the preseason. He didn't sign until October, and then this year he signs a one-year deal in July. The Mammoth didn't mess around; they got him signed quickly because he was so effective. Alexander Kerfoot is another guy who's an unrestricted free agent. Kevin Stenlund, like those are two huge pieces for you right there. They kill penalties. They're very good defensive players. Stenlund is your best face-off man. That's a big decision. Like what happens next there? Ian Cole is going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's 37. Nick DeSimone, another defenseman, unrestricted free agent. So do you bring those guys back? They were great whenever they were put in throughout the year. And Cole played in all 82 games and all the playoff games. So a lot of decisions could be made. And I don't have the answers for you as to who sticks around. But the thing you have to remember is there's guys coming up. There's prospects, there's draft picks that are coming up through the system. And a lot of them had really impressive seasons at their respective levels. You're talking about T. Ginla, who scored almost a goal a game in the WHL. He'll have a great chance to make the team. Cole Baudouin, a kid who's 20 years old. He's going to be a pro player next year. We just don't know what level, if it'll be the AHL or the NHL. He was one of the most decorated players in the Ontario Hockey League this year. You've got Caleb Denoyer, who was taken fourth overall last draft by the Mammoth. He'll be 19, and he'll have a chance to make the team as well coming out of camp. And you can go on down the list. There's a bunch of guys like that who are waiting for their turn to be that next guy coming up. And I think that's what we're going to be talking about for most of the offseason is can those hot shot prospects make the team? But that absolutely is going to factor into who can go and who will stay in terms of these unrestricted free agents.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
Yeah, this reminds me, are you a Cubs fan at all?
Funny enough, I was sick of all the Cubs and Reds fans around me, so I veered off the road and went to be a Cardinals fan growing up in Indiana.
Okay, that's cool. And I can respect that because I've done that my whole life, where everybody zigs, I zag, or vice versa. But it reminds me of maybe two guys that come to mind in baseball. Chris Bryant, when he was drafted, kid out of Vegas, and I think he went to San Diego, and he was taken high. And then Mike Trout, a kid out of South Jersey. You kept hearing about those guys in their respective minor leagues for the Cubs and the Angels. I went to a Cubs spring training game down in Phoenix one time. It's just south of ASU, not very far, Sloan Park. And it was like 2 hours before the game, and everybody was waiting for Bryant. He was going to come out of the clubhouse and go work out at one of the fields in the back, not even play in the main game. And the line for him to maybe get an autograph or to see him was just incredible, because I went over and I go, what's all the fuss about, right? And so now I keep hearing these guys in the Utah organization, and I'm just wondering, As you look at them, what have you heard in terms of any of them being a Chris Bryant or a Mike Trout? Because obviously they made major impacts, and I realize Bryant has gotten hurt. But when he's with the Cubs, they won a World Series, and Trout has had a resurgence and is probably a Hall of Famer. And I wonder who among these guys, because we've heard so much about them, can really be a star at the NHL level.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you hear about all of them, to be honest. All you have to do is talk to Bill Armstrong for a couple of minutes, and he will. You could be talking about the weather, and somehow he would work the prospects into the conversation because I think the organization is that excited. And honestly, guys, that's why contracts are being structured the way they are right now too. You look at Bill signing guys to longer term deals. Guys that he wants to keep around that are going to help the team, but those longer-term deals also help keep the AAV down as well. Like you think about signing Cooley to an 8-year, $80 million deal, that's $10 million a year. It sounds like a lot, but if you were to wait a year, if you were to wait, at the end of this season as opposed to signing that deal in October, his price is probably going up. So, and the same thing for Dylan Guenther, who they jumped on really early. They're trying to keep the AAV down for these guys and sign them as early as possible because they know there's going to be some elite players coming in. And, I'm really excited about T.J. Ginla. He's a guy who has an elite shot. He's got a ton of skill. He's the son of NHL Hall of Famer Jerome Ginla, so he's got some great lineage. He's an incredible kid, too. Like when you meet a young player and you just have zero doubt that they're going to be a star because of their temperament and their character and personality. Like that's T.J. Ginla. We've seen him in the preseason. It's gonna be an adaptation for him to get ready for the NHL game compared to what he's been going through in juniors. But like his skill and his shot, like that translates across any level. So there's going to be, an elite scorer in a few years. We're hoping that you're getting into the organization. Another guy you're hearing about is Michael Robel, a goalie from the University of Massachusetts, the mighty Minutemen. He's 6'7". He was a second-round pick a couple years ago, and he had one of the best seasons for a college goalie like in recent memory. He was incredible for UMass, and he joined the Tucson Roadrunners in the AHL at the end of the year. Played a few games with them, looked really good. I don't know how quickly we'll see him in the NHL, but we have another goalie that could be making his way up in Michael Robel. I think everyone's really excited about him. And then also, guys, we still haven't seen a ton of Daniil Boot and Dmitry Simashev. These were two first-round picks from a couple years ago that got their toes wet this season, played a little bit, and showed some really good things, but still needed some ripening. They spent most of the year in the minor leagues where they were dominant. Like when they were in the minor leagues, Daniil Boot was a point-per-game player, and Dmitry Simashev was maybe the best player on the ice with Tucson. So I think you're expecting those guys to take another step heading into training camp this year and compete for, positions in Utah's lineup. So it's exciting. It's all exciting, and we're going to see how it unfolds at training camp. And then once we hit free agency on July 1st and the draft, and the Mammoths have a stockpile of weapons and prospects. And here's the other thing, guys. Don't be surprised if some of these draft picks or some of these prospects get traded away for current players, just because the Mammoths have that ability.
Yeah, it's a Josh Doan story then.
It could be. And look, I think we all thought Josh was going to be a great player. And his timeline wasn't as much in line with what Utah needed. And the Mammoths were trying to bring in that elite scoring threat because they were missing that 2 years ago. They weren't missing it as much this season. They had 6 different 20-goal scorers, including J.J. Peterka, who came over for Josh Doan. Honestly, like if you would have told me Josh Doan would have had 25 goals this year with Buffalo, which he did, I don't know if I would have bought that. But give credit to him; he had a great season in in Buffalo. But yeah, absolutely, be ready for big swings from this organization, because I think the Mammoths want to make it known that they're stepping into their, championship window, if you will.
There are decisions where it's not just yes or no, sign him, let him go. I'm intrigued by someone like Barrett Hayton, because if you're in a salary cap league, I just read a story about how the Dolphins had this with Tua Tagovailoa and went the wrong way. They tried to sign him early, like you said, keep that average annual value, right? And it bit him, and it cost the GM and the coach their job, right? Because Tua just didn't produce a high enough level. And now the same thing with C.J. Stroud, who had a great year, but now the numbers have dipped a little. And for the Mammoth, that's Barrett Hayton, because he was a young guy on the way up, got to play some of the top line, had a 20-goal season, 46 points, and you're wondering, well, is he good for 25 or 30 goals? Can he turn in 50 or 60 points? Where's this going to go? And it went backwards this year. And so you could give him a longer-term deal and figure he's going to bounce back. You could let him go and make way for these young guys who might make a great transition, but maybe they struggle and need some time. And I read this one story that it was predicting, somebody who knows Bill and has been following him way longer than I have, right? I've been on 2 years since the team moved. And they were predicting that he'd probably give him a 1-year deal, let it say, okay, best 2 years out of 3, Barrett, and you got to beat out these other guys who are moving up. But if you do it, and, guys have bad years sometimes, maybe he is 25 goals and 60 points next year. Maybe he bounces back and earns that big long-term deal. You have any feel for that? Because there's 3 potential options. And I didn't even count the 4th you just brought up, which is sign him, put him in a deal, and move him. And somebody else wants to take that chance on him.
So Barrett Hayton's an RFA. Which means a restricted free agent. So it's not exactly an unrestricted free agent. He can't just go wherever he wants. At some point, he will turn into a UFA.
1 more year to unrestricted. Yeah.
Right. So he's restricted right now, which means the team has a little bit more control over the situation. I think over the last 2 years, one of the conversations around Barrett Hayton, I think, has been that he has been playing the 2C, the 1C position, like one of your top 2 centermen. Mm-hmm. And he's probably, on a good team, he's probably a 3C. It was only a couple years ago where he had 20 goals.
Right.
This year he didn't quite have the puck luck. I think he had 9. So you're right. Like, the numbers dipped significantly, but he also didn't see as much time that high up in the lineup. Like, right. He got moved down, and by the end of the season, we saw him slotting in that 3C neighborhood, or even 4C in the playoffs. And guys, he was hurt in the playoffs. Like, he played 1 game. He was playing banged up. He was not at 100% there at the end of the year. But you give credit to him for trying to play through it. But on a good team, yeah, he's probably not your first or second line center. And Andre Tourney loves Barrett Hayton. Like, he's been through the battles with him all throughout Barrett's career. He came in as a teenager and was a really high draft pick, and was a guy who the Coyotes probably could have drafted later in the first round. I'll just say that. And it's not Barrett's fault he got drafted, 5th or 6th overall. But he's incredibly versatile. I remember talking about him last week, either with you guys or with my other marriage, Jake and Ben. And he takes face-offs, he kills penalties. You can put him on the power play, and you can put him with top players. Like, he's played a bunch with Keller and Schmaltz over the last couple of years. Now, but the difference between Barrett Hayton and those examples of C.J. Stroud and Tua Tagovailoa that you mentioned, DJ, is that Barrett Hayton's not on a $100 million contract. Right. He's making $265 this season. So I don't know what that number would be next year. I will say his value exceeds his stats. Like, a guy like J.J. Peterka is paid to produce. Like, he's going to be judged on his points. A guy like Barrett Hayton, he does a lot more than that. And I think Barrett Hayton might lead the team in assists that don't count as assists, where the goal would not have happened without Barrett Hayton, but he doesn't get like any goal or assist or point for his work on the ice, whether it's a screen or winning a face-off or
The story I read pointed out that he brought a lot of value on the defensive side of the puck, and the stats aren't going to measure that as well. So all this has to be weighed in. And the fact that he'd be holding down a roster spot. And so what do you think of him long-term versus some of the young guys in the minor leagues who we read about, but we're not seeing them, and obviously the club is. It's just really intriguing. He just sat at the crossroads, and it could go so many different ways.
Well, and think about this too, guys, is that I mentioned these other names earlier, Alexander Kerfoot and Kevin Stenlund. They're both unrestricted free agents. They're both UFAs. So how many of these centermen are you going to let walk, basically, or if any? Are you going to keep them all? What does that look like? And so I think Barrett Hayton's situation is tied to those other two guys. And the prospects coming up, Cole Baudouin for the Barrie Colts. He's a guy who is very good defensively as well. I think he was named the top defensive forward in the OHL this year. He's a centerman. He can play that role. And Caleb Denoye is a centerman as well. Now, I am leaning towards believing Denoye at 19 years old is going to be in the American Hockey League. I think that'd be a great place for him to kind of earn his chops. He could make the team, just like Cole, but those are two guys who might not make the Mammoth out of camp. And so if you have two guys that don't make the Mammoth out of camp, and then you have, Stenlund and Kerfoot and their status is in question, like, are you in a hurry to chase Barrett Hayton out of town? I'm definitely not.
Yeah, that's why the story was saying he might get 1 year, that they might not commit to him long term, but they could walk him up to that unrestricted free agency with a 1-year deal. It's just one person's opinion. Who knows? We'll see what Bill does. We'll leave it right there for now, Mike. We appreciate it. And if you haven't seen the photo, they do that gone fishing thing when the teams get eliminated from the NBA playoffs, and they usually put a local celebrity. So when Boston got knocked out, it was Vrabel and Rossini on the boat with them. So you're not.
I saw that. Yeah.
Joke. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, man, we can probably leave them alone. Right. I mean, but you know what, guys, I'm gonna hang up with you. I'm gonna head over to this nice couples resort in Sedona just to unwind for a little bit, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'm gonna check out the rooftop, see what's going on.
All right, more tea times for you also. Let's go.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk to you, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Mammoth. More in a moment. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.